Let me ask you a couple of just general questions, and again, answer any of them. Number one, what are GMO fish? What is wrong with them, and where do we stand with this subject? Number two, why did the new Impossible Burger that's well publicized decide to use a GMO ingredient in it? The Beyond Meat burgers didn't, so why did Impossible feel like there was a need to put a GMO ingredient? Third, a question I have asked in the past, but still curious. Bill Gates is one of the richest men in the world. He doesn't need money. Why has he been pro-GMO and unable to be convinced with all the evidence that you're providing? Four, are they spraying antibiotics on my food? I read that the grapefruits or something in Florida, the citrus, that they're allowed to put antibiotics. I thought that was, concerning. And finally, I don't know if we've talked too much about soil, but there are a bunch of people that are very, very concerned that you can't get food unless you have soil. So any of these things that anyone would like to comment on?
All right, I'll bite on the burger, but not on the Impossible Burger. Steve and I are very, very aware of a friend of ours, Bill Christ, who spent years investigating an epidemic that was a tragedy. A company named Showa in Japan genetically engineered bacteria as a little microfactory to create the food supplement L-tryptophan. And we're selling the L-tryptophan into the United States in the 1980s, 84, 85, 86, etc. And the process of genetic engineering creates unpredicted side effects and was almost certainly the reason why there were 5 or 6 contaminants in this L-tryptophan that ended up killing about 100 Americans and causing 5,000 to 10,000 to fall sick. Because the process creates unpredicted side effects. That same type of microfactory is being employed by the Impossible Burger, not with bacteria, but with yeast. They take genes from soybean roots, put it in a yeast, and create leg hemoglobin, which looks like blood. They first gave it to the FDA and said, can you call this generally recognized as safe? The FDA said, no. It's never been in the human food supply. And by the way, you have 26 other proteins that this yeast fermentation vat is producing. They've never been characterized for safety either. And they constitute 20 to 30% of the stuff you're putting in, along with this leg hemoglobin. On top of that, they add genetically engineered soy sprayed with Roundup. There's so many things that could be wrong about this. It's ridiculous. There's a great organization, GMO Free America, that's pulling together reports from hundreds of people who report getting sick after eating the Impossible Burger. Please don't let your friends eat the Impossible Burger. You know, there's that friends don't let friends drive drunk. Friends don't let friends eat the Impossible Burger. You see, there's a myth that GMOs are safe, that have been around for so long, and we've heard this already. This was predicted by Louis Pribble, a microbiologist at the FDA, who said people are just going to assume it's safe because it's been around for so long. He was angry that the policy that the FDA was adopting was being written by Michael Taylor, Monsanto's former attorney, who eliminated all the scientific concerns in the policy. Louis Pribble's memo was made public because of the lawsuit pioneered by Stephen Druker. And Stephen and I have followed. Bill Christ passed away after his investigation and passed on his notes and a lot of his information for us, and we've been bringing it out. But I have to say, it is a terrible, terrible thing if the Impossible Burger is not brought down soon. Because everyone else is looking at this. Can we successfully genetically engineer yeast or bacteria or algae to produce something and have it accepted by the American population as a healthy alternative. Stacy just told me about Cargill's factory in Lincoln, Nebraska, $50 million factory, to use those same synthetic biology programs to produce genetically engineered stevia. There's already vanilla. They're planning to do all that. They're trying to do the essence of Ayurvedic herbs through the synbio.
They're also doing marijuana now.
Marijuana.
Monsanto has the patent on that.
So we have to stop this because it is picked up by Burger King and all these upscale restaurants. It's already being sold in stores. If we don't stop it, then the food industry will say, oh, well, it worked with the Impossible Burger, now we can do it. And then we get flooded with synthetic biology. And the only reason they found that the L-tryptophan killed people was because the disease was rare, acute, and came on quickly. If not all three of those had been together, it would still be on the market causing disease. And even though the disease was rare, acute, and came on quickly, it was almost missed. So we could be poisoning the food supply for decades and not knowing it. And the Impossible Burger is the poster child where we need to focus on. So please be active and tell your friends not to eat the Impossible Burger.
Can I, Stephen, I just want to add to the whole thing about GMO vat-grown products, because this is what Silicon Valley now is just pushing as the future of our food supply and the future of everything. One of the first GMO vat-produced medications was human insulin. Before that, people had insulin that was usually extracted from pigs. A few companies went and modified E. coli bacteria to produce, well, they said it was human insulin, actually. 2 weeks ago, what a investigative journalist put out an excellent article on the research on this, showing that actually all they did was modify the pig insulin gene and called it human insulin. But basically, the FDA gave them the go-ahead, and they started putting out this insulin. And what it's looking like now is, whereas with pig insulin, if people with diabetics, what happens is they can have illnesses either way. They can go into various comas, depending if they've got too much or too little, but usually it takes time to come on. What was happening right from the beginning with this new GM insulin is that these effects in some people would happen instantly, and a lot of people were dying and are still dying from it. And yet this has all been covered up by the industry. Not only that, because they could produce this new insulin cheaper than the old systems, it ended up 3 companies in the world made these vats, make all the world's insulin, and all the other companies that made insulin are out of business. This is what they're doing with vanilla, recombinant vanilla. They'll put all the world's vanilla farmers out because they will not be able to compete. They'll put the world's stevia farmers out. And, I think what I want to say here is they like to say that these are the same products, but what we're finding, as Jeffrey has said time and time again, unexpected results, and many of these results are fatal. And the Shoadenko, L-tryptophan, killed hundreds of people. I think if there's more investigation looking at the human insulin, this is the actual amount of people who have died will be in thousands. So that's the reality, and we've heard time and time again how these, and I'll use the word poison cartels, corrupt science. Stephen's book is one where honestly, read this if you want to see the history of how science gets corrupted. And at times I had to stop reading it. I got so angry, and so distressed. But this is the truth about this. And people are dying as a result. And I think we'll find that the Impossible Burger is one of these. It will kill people, and many people, before it's taken off the market, if it ever is.